Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at etrailer. Today we're taking a look at how the Thule Verse bike rack fits on the 2023 Jeep Gladiator. Now this is going to be a very versatile bike rack that's great for different bikes of different shapes and sizes, has a really good and heavy weight capacity. But when you pair it with the Gladiator, there are some things that I actually recommend adding on to this rack so that you can get the fullest and best experience. While this rack works amazingly on its own, if you have heavier bikes or if you just want a little extra safety, I recommend getting the ramp add-on, which will be helpful since the Gladiator sits really high up, as well as looking at the taillight add-on, which you can then use with the wiring on your Gladiator. This will then add lights to your rack and just a little bit more visibility on the road. But without those, that's totally fine. You're still gonna get a really good bike rack that works really well. And we'll start with one of the main features, which is tilting away. With many trucks, it's difficult to lower the tailgate just because the mast of the rack tends to make contact. But in the case of our Thule Verse with our Gladiator, when you tilt the rack away, it still works amazingly well. If you needed to get things out of your truck bed, or maybe you wanted to climb up or hang out on your tailgate, you can. There's plenty of space there. I'm not worried with clearance whatsoever. Now there's not much space around the tailgate, so you are gonna have to go around, but it's nice to have that option where you don't have to take off your bikes. Bringing this back up, do be mindful that this has a weight capacity of 60 pounds per bike, so that may be a good amount of weight that you are lifting or lowering. Your bike is secured by 2 touch points. The main one is going to be your front wheel hook, really tightening down, making sure you have a sturdy fit, but then you also have your rear wheel strap. I really like the design of Thule's straps because these actually work as ratchet straps where you lift up the lever and to get the tightest fit on your wheel. We're going to press the lever though, and that disengages the strap so that we can actually slide this up and out of the way. Get this out of the way, and then come over to the hook. Thule designed what they call this ergonomic lever, where you just squeeze the lever and that disengages that hook so you can lift up. Let's push this out, and now we can grab our bike and go. Now this movement here is why I recommend taking a look at the ramp add-on if you have extra heavy bikes, because this might be a lot of height that you would have to lift up and over, and it might be nicer or easier just to ramp up. But that depends on you, your height, your lifting capacity, and your bike's weight, so it's up to your discretion. This will add a fair amount of length to the back of your truck though. So if we measure from the bumper to the end of our bike rack by that handle, this sits at about 41 inches. So just something to keep in mind when you're driving around town, you need to park into a tight spot. Now for that clearance, we talked about that earlier with lifting off the bike, but here's a specific number. 26.5 inches for our rear cradle, 24 inches or 2 feet for our front cradle. Then I'm going to measure real quick at the shank. And our shank, bottom inside corner, sits 17.5 inches up off the ground. So there is a shank rise, which is there to help, so you don't have to worry about ground clearance, but it does add a significant amount of height to how high your bikes are going to be sitting up and off the ground. Folding this up with the bikes off, you can make this a lot more compact. And this is how people drive around town with their rack. So from the bumper, same spot we measured earlier, the end of the rack is now 16 inches. Big difference compared to when it was down, and this will make it a lot easier for just driving around town. Now, if you were a vehicle behind the Gladiator, this is what you would see. The bike does not go above the tailgate, which is pretty cool. Full visibility through your rear window. Now our tail lights are right over here in this opening, so that's visible too. Again, if you are worried about that, you could check out the taillight extender kit. License plate is pretty covered, but that's gonna be pretty much everything or every type of bike rack you may have on here, and your backup camera sits right over there. So you do have a good enough gap between your backup camera and your bike rack that you may be able to see around this opening here if there is a vehicle or person behind you, but will be limited compared to before. You also have the option of folding your arms in, like what we do here, if you are concerned about the length they stick out past the bike rack. I think it looks pretty good this way though. With just the overall shape of the Gladiator and the rack, we have a really cool looking bike rack here. If you're looking for a bike rack for your Jeep Gladiator, and the Thule Verse was one of the options that you're looking for because it is a really good and versatile rack, it has plenty of good features to it, hopefully this video was helpful for you with things to keep in mind. This will work pretty much any situation and pretty much any bike, but there's different functional things you may not have thought of, like ground clearance or visibility, that hopefully you will consider now too. So if this video was helpful for you, let me know. I'd love to make sure that you get the right fit for you, your vehicle, and your bikes, whether it's a Thule Verse or different variations of this style of a rack. But today, what you saw was a Thule Verse bike rack on this 2023 Jeep Gladiator. My name is Evangeline. I hope you enjoyed this journey.